I am particularly excited about today's episode of Clear Recreates because it is an actual candy that I like and voluntarily eat. It's a go-to movie theater candy. Today I am recreating Whoppers. I love malted flavor. And there is something about the texture of like this inside of the Whopper where it like melts, it dissolves on your tongue, but it's like kind of rough. I have two movie theater candies. I have Whoppers and peanut M&Ms. It's happened to me on more than one occasion that I dropped an entire box of Whoppers during the preview and I could hear them all roll down like the slope of the movie theater, like under people's feet. I'm so upset. I lost all my Whoppers. I love it so much, even though I know that the coating is gross and it's not chocolate, but I eat them anyway. And so today I'm really excited because if I can nail that dissolving texture in the inside, that's like super dry and crunchy, and then I give it like some real chocolate coating, huge success. It just says the original malted milk balls. It doesn't even say like in chocolatey coating or something. It doesn't even make a claim about what it is. The carton is so fun. I love the carton. Do you think they stole this from our show, the smiley face? I think so. It has a kind of like fun retro feel. I love the label and the font and everything and the type. It's very pleasant. It's like makes me feel calm, the color. Let's open it up. Cartons are very nostalgic. It's like opening up the little milk carton in the school cafeteria. Hold on. There we go. This was me in the movie theater, and then it was just like all down like 20 rows. They're very different sizes, something I never would have thought to look at. Those are not uniform. Makes me feel already off the bat kind of good. They don't have to all be exactly the same. They're also like not perfectly spherical, also makes me feel good. Here are the ingredients: sugar, corn syrup solids, whey, parentheses milk, hydrogenated palm kernel oil, cocoa, contains 2% or less of malted milk, and then in parentheses, barley, malt, wheat flour, milk, salt, baking soda, close parentheses, corn syrup, confectioner's glaze, sorbitan, tristearate, lecithin, parentheses soy, salt, artificial flavor, tapioca dextrin, calcium carbonate. It's not like the list is so terrible, it's just that it doesn't have chocolate in it, so it's like mostly oil. It's like cocoa added to hydrogenated. Okay, it's not a great ingredient list, I guess. The main ingredients are sugar and like hydrogenated oils. But what's the most interesting is the malted milk component. So that includes barley malt, wheat flour, milk, salt, and baking soda. It's just very interesting to me. That one ingredient, malted milk, is kind of that's gonna be my main starting point. The key with Whopper, I don't like to bite them. I like to melt off the coating, which smells pretty fast. It does not taste good. I think what I like about it and never really like put my finger on is it's kind of salty. And what I like about malt is it is savory. It's just really good. And I love, it dissolves so quickly. And sometimes you hit like an air pocket in it. That part's really good. Let me just cut one open and see. One of my goals is gonna be to keep the chocolate coating really thin and really focus on the core. So it just kind of like shattered. It's super dry and there's all these tiny little air pockets in there. Like there's no moisture at all. They're really satisfying looking. I mean, it is sort of one of the rare ones that like actually looks like the illustration on the box. I'm not trying to be so precise. They're really different. They're kind of like somewhere around 1.5 centimeters diameter. Some are a little more, some are a little less. And the coating is 1 to 2 millimeters. Not too much to say in this drawing. These little dots are little air bubbles, little air pockets. I really like this episode already, not just because I like Whoppers, but because this part's easy. I drew this and there were only 2 measurements that I had to take, which is great. To me, it looks like this, like a machine just like was able to take a mixture that sort of holds its shape and is thick and like makes a little pebble out of it, and then it goes onto its conveyor belt and kind of like sets and bakes or dehydrates. So that's kind of in line with my idea and like thinking around how I'm gonna approach it. And I'm gonna make my game plan. There's only 2 steps here. Step 1 is make malted cores. Step 2 is coat in tempered milk chocolate. In order to achieve this texture, where my brain immediately went is meringue, like dehydrated meringue, because it's a similar texture. Like when you bite into a crunchy meringue, it's that same sensation of lots of tiny air pockets and the dissolving. texture. So there's no egg whites on this list, but that's where I'm going to start. And then I want to obviously achieve the flavor, that malted flavor. I think what I want to do is create a malted milk dough of sorts, a soft, not too wet dough. And then I want to incorporate meringue into that dough, form it into spheres and dehydrate it. Almost like a cookie dough in a sense. I'm gonna I have my milk chocolate here. I found this milk chocolate at the store. It has a high percentage of cocoa. Chocolate liquor, milk, cane sugar, cocoa butter, vanilla, soy lecithin. So I'm gonna put this off to the side because this is my last step. I have some corn syrup here, which is so an Italian meringue is a meringue where it's stabilized with like a cooked sugar syrup. I'm gonna use a little bit of corn syrup for that. I'm gonna grab regular sugar. I'll grab my scale. So baking soda, I thought that if I incorporate baking soda and maybe powder into this dough, that it is going to give me a little bit of a reaction. No, you know what? I want soda, not powder, now that I think about it. It's gonna give me a little bit of a reaction to aerate it a little bit and give me that, like those tiny little air pockets that dissolve. Sprouting organic US barley turns whole grain complex carbs into sugars. It is water extracted and concentrated to make syrup. So this is gonna have a lot of that malted flavor. It is a type of liquid sweetener. My idea is to use a combination of sugar, corn syrup, and barley malt syrup to make my Italian meringue, to cook a syrup to then add to the egg whites. Smells so good. Smell how malty it is. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
It really it gives a little bit of that. Now I'm gonna also grab some regular milk. So I have sugar, egg whites, corn syrup, barley malt syrup. This is my meringue. Then over here I have what is going to become my dough, and then I'll fold them together. I want to try cooking this a little bit. So I've used enough malted milk, and I know that there is some flour content in here, like some wheat content. I know enough to know that this behaves like a starch and that it has like a thickening power. If I cooked it with liquid, I think it is going to release starch and create a dough. But this is just a test. So I'm going to start with small quantities. So let's say I'm going to start with 50 grams of malted milk powder. And I'm going to give it a pinch of salt. I am going to incorporate the baking soda into the meringue. Or
you're hoping to get the little bubbles in it or something?
Yeah, in addition to the air from the meringue. I do sort of have to give it something to react to. Baking soda needs an acid. There's a little bit of, what's the acid in milk? Lactic acid. But milk is basic, really. Is barley malt syrup acidic?
Can you try to look against it? It doesn't have flavor.
No, but if I already have the barley malt syrup in the meringue, then that's kind of the acid that I'm adding. So I'm gonna do milk, not very much. And let's see what happens when I cook this together. I just need to bring it to the point where the starch is gelatinized, so like doesn't even have to boil. I'll just kind of warm it up until it thickens. It's almost like I'm making a roux. That's what it looks like. It's starting to thicken. So this came up to a simmer. In no way did it form a dough, even remotely. It did thicken a bit, but really nothing happened. I think I need to add some wheat flour to this for it to actually do what I want it to do. So that was 50 grams of milk, 50 grams of malted milk. Let me add a little bit of flour. All right, so I don't need a lot of this, I don't think. That's 15 grams. And get it cooking again.
You're hoping to get something you can hold in your hand.
Yeah, something that that will hold its shape. So this is now thickening because I've kind of right at the simmering temp. Now we have something much thicker. I'm gonna get it out of the hot saucepan because I wanna look at it. So here is this mixture. I wanna get it cooled down. My concern is that I don't wanna add more starch because in some ways I don't wanna make it so thick that I can't fold meringue into it. So in some ways I think what I need is like a filler, like a kind of, like in my mind I was like, if I like mix almond flour into it, for example, it'll be like the rock and the concrete mix. You know what I mean? Like the ground.
Why don't you just add more flour?
Or add more powdered milk. Or the melted milk. This is still warm, so I want this to cool. Tastes like malted milk. All right, I'm gonna see what happens if I mix in some dry milk into this. It's like, are the starches actually hurting me in this process?
It seems like that's getting gloopier the more you add.
Right, I think I don't want that. I guess one idea is something called dèquoise, which is a type of, it's like a meringue that has nuts folded in, ground nuts folded in, forms like a sponge cake, that type of texture. And that's kind of what I'm wondering if I can make, but instead of folding in ground nuts, can I just fold in a bunch of the malted milk? Can we cut so I can think this through? I don't know if you want me thinking on camera the whole time. New plan. So, rather than, I think, get tripped up on the idea of making this like meringue lightened dough that I can form into spheres, I'm going to go the meringue route and worry about shaping later. And who knows, I might even be able to add enough malted milk powder that I can shape it. We'll see. Let's just try it. I'm gonna move on to meringue. I still need my burner. This, I'm glad I didn't use too many ingredients on that. Let's try making some Italian meringue. I kind of need my stand mixer for this. I'm gonna get my oven on 200, which is really the best temperature for dehydrating meringue.
Why don't you use your dehydrator?
We don't have a dehydrator.
Au contraire.
What does that mean? The Breville?
It has a dehydrator setting.
It does?
Yeah.
What? I can't believe I haven't been using this. I had no idea. Vince, how long have you known about this?
Whole time.
The whole time. Wow, I can't believe I didn't know that. So the plan is, I'm gonna make an Italian meringue, and I'm gonna replace some of the sugar with this barley malt syrup, which is also a sweetener. Then I'm going to fold in a mixture, my dry ingredients, which are like my malted milk powder and a little bit of baking soda. And the idea is that I'm going to have this reaction that occurs between the meringue, which is a little acidic, because I'm going to also add a little cream of tartar, the baking soda, it's going to aerate, I'm going to pipe it, bake it. What could go wrong? So I'm going to start just getting my ingredients measured. Call it 15 grams or so barley malt syrup. And then I'm gonna do 15 grams of corn syrup. Now the challenge here is working with a really small quantity of meringue. And now adding enough sugar to get this to 100 grams total. And I need to add a little bit of water to this. I'm gonna add like 2 tablespoons or so. So I'm gonna get this over low heat just to get everything dissolved. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. I wanna cook this to 240 Fahrenheit. As soon as this is dissolved, I'm gonna stop stirring. While that's coming up to a boil, which it already is, I have 2 large egg whites here. I'm gonna get these whipping. And to this I'm gonna add a pinch of salt and a little bit of cream of tartar. Call it 1/8 of a teaspoon. Not even 1/8, call it 1/16. So basically before I stream this syrup into the egg whites, I need the egg whites to be pretty foamy. I'm gonna grab my pastry brush so I can wipe down the sides of the saucepan. It's at 225 right now. So I turned off my egg whites, those are nice and foamy. My syrup is coming up to temp, 235, 236, 237, 238, 239. I'm gonna call it 240. So I'm gonna get my mixer going. We're gonna stream this in. There's coffee in the pot if you want some more. So I poured in my syrup and I'm gonna whip this until it's very, very stiff peaks. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna get my dry ingredients together. I'm gonna try 100 grams of malted milk and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to this too. This is looking pretty good. One of the ways you know that meringue is getting very stiff while it's beating is if it starts to like ball up inside the whisk like this. So here I have this really, really stiffly beaten Italian meringue. Pretty firm, but it could be a little bit more. All right, so just another maybe 20 seconds of whipping this. Archie, here's gonna get your cat. Bad kitty. Let's take a look. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. I feel like this is gonna work. Not only do I feel like it's gonna work, I think it's gonna be really tasty. So here's my meringue. Here's my mix it dry. I'm just gonna add it all together and see what happens. So now gentle folding, and hopefully there's a reaction happening between the baking soda that I added and the meringue. And I can tell that it's actually getting a little aerated. It has that look to it. I maybe should have sifted. I think it's okay. It like got a little clumpy. I don't want to stir too much. So here's what the mixture looks like. I'm gonna get it into my piping bag and pipe it out. It smells good. It smells really good.
Color's pretty close.
I think it's gonna be tasty.
Yeah. One thing I think I could easily do is I could pipe everything too big. So my idea is to pipe hemispheres or something close to it and then stick them together basically. So I need to really pipe very, very small pieces. This is very thick, which is good. This is like way more of this mixture than I'm sure I'm gonna need. Using my real Whopper as a guide, I'm gonna just pipe like tiny amounts of this. These are not really the shape that I want them to be. They're always gonna have a flat side, you know what I mean?
Some of these almost seem Whopper sized.
Well, at least I have room to remove. As I learned not very long ago, our toaster oven has a dehydrate setting, which I've never used. And basically it just turns the fan on really high and it puts it at a low temp. So I'm gonna try that out. A normal size meringue would take a couple hours to dehydrate, but these are small, hoping with the fan it goes faster. And then we have to just kind of wait and see. Whoppers dehydrate take 2. They're definitely not dry yet, but I can pick them up. They're getting there. I'm so excited. I think they look really good. They're hardening, but they're still that kind of like elastic marshmallow texture. You guys, I'm not just saying this because this is my only shot and I'm not doing it again. Come taste it. But they really like dissolve in your mouth. They're also not that sweet, which is kind of cool. I'm gonna put them back in. They just have to go longer. My little meringue droplets have been dehydrating for almost 2 hours. I'm gonna pull them out. I increased the temperature a little bit toward the end. So I just wanna let these cool off a little bit.
Since they're still soft, could you like pre-shake them?
And like roll one. I think it's too hard given the flat bottom. Okay, but theoretically, if we put 2 together, looks round enough to me. This should only take like 5 minutes. Maybe we'll come back in 5 once they're cool.
Cut.
Whopper shape, take 1. I did what I sort of knew I was gonna do, which was pipe something too tall. I didn't really make hemispheres. I made little hats. And now I need to shape them. So I was just using a pair of scissors to snip off the peak on a lot of them. Some of them collapsed a little bit, but they're still really airy. So I'm gonna create pairs, glue them together with more meringue. These are good together. Part of the problem is that I'm kind of running out of like nicer, rounder pieces. One more for safety. So I'm gonna get these back in the dehydrator. Look, they're rolling around like they're little spheres. That's a good thing. I'm actually kind of excited. I'm going to get my chocolate into my bowl. I'm gonna make a double boiler with it. So I have this water, it's under boiling. It's just on warm. I don't know if I'm gonna need all of this chocolate. These are 3 ounces each. I don't need a lot. I just need enough depth of chocolate to dip each individual piece. At the same time, it's easier to temper chocolate in larger quantities, I think, so we'll see. There's a 3-step process for tempering. You bring the temperature up over the double boiler, you bring it back down, then you bring it back up to its working temp. So I need to think about how I'm going to enrobe each sphere so that I'm not like letting it set on a flat surface. So one idea I'm having is to stab a sphere with a toothpick, dip it, let it drip, and then turn it right side up. Yeah?
But
Okay.
won't you have a hole in
So
the
one-
chocolate?
What's that? Yeah, yes, Cal. Yes. Let's just pretend like no one sees it. I'm gonna need a lot of toothpicks. Yeah, 30, I guess. Maybe this sauce, well, actually, it touching the water is maybe not the worst thing. I really like tempering using the induction burner because I can be really precise about my temperature. So I have my water underneath, and actually the bowl is touching the water, which is kind of key here. Normally you don't want that. But the idea is that if the water is the exact temp, the bowl will be the exact temp, and then what's inside will be that temp. So I'm at 115 Fahrenheit on the chocolate. I want to get this to 120.
What about seed chocolate? You're supposed to throw seed chocolate.
No, this is a non-seed method. Sorry, I forgot. I got so confused. I'm not using seed.
Okay.
I'm not using seed. So I'm at 117.
I just didn't know you could do it without.
Yeah. The seed is one method, but yeah. Okay, so I'm at 118. 120 is the first temp. Now it's gonna come off my burner. I wanna stir pretty vigorously. I'm also gonna get some cooler water in here. and get this on like super, super low. Now stir this until it cools down to 81. It's kind of hot in here, so I don't think it's gonna happen right away. I'm only at 108. Why is it so hot in here? Do I need to should I turn this air on? All right, that might help actually. The chocolate is in the 80s. I need it to be to 82. I'm at 84 right now, so very close. I took out my cores. Come on, can I get an 82? This is just lukewarm water. So back on the water. 86 is what's called the working temp. That's the temperature that I want to hold it at to be able to dip everything. So right now I'm at 83, 85, 86. Let's see what the water temp is. So the water temp is a little warm. If I want to hold it, I should really have the water be around 86. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is tempered. And now I'm gonna start dipping. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Oh my God, okay, well, sorry. But recovered. I know it's tempered because it's already starting to harden. My God, how good do my Whoppers look? I think my chocolate coating is probably thicker than in the original, but my cores are not that sweet, so I'm like, maybe that's not a bad thing. This dipping method is working out pretty well. So get them coated, stab. They are starting to harden, but I want to speed it up a little bit, so I'm going to get them in the fridge, and probably just 5 minutes is all they'll need, and then I'll take them off and we'll take a look and taste.
Are you feeling good about it?
Feeling so good about this. So in just the amount of time it took to reset, the chocolate is set. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to get them off their toothpicks, flick them off. So obviously they have a little puncture mark, but they look really good. Oops, are they not super set? Oh my God, just ignore that. We gotta wrap it up. I maybe grabbed them a little too soon because there is like a little bit of chocolate that's not quite set. But they look really good, and we're gonna pick strategic angles. So I'm gonna take one. Oh my God. The chocolate is not set yet. But, wow. In some ways, they're really similar, and in some ways, I made something totally different. The chocolate enhances them so much. The chocolate shell is much thinner than I thought it would be, based on the kind of dipping. First of all, visually, it's so close, so similar. They are actually not as malty as I thought they would be, but I think that's partly because the chocolate is very flavorful. And in the original, it's not really like chocolate. The core has the crunch and the lightness, but is so much more delicate and dissolves like much faster, which is kind of nice. It's a weirdly like a much lighter version compared to the original. But I think if you handed it to someone, they'd be like, wow, like when did Whoppers get fancy, kind of. Like it very clearly reads as a Whopper. Mostly because it has like all that malted flavor and that crunch when you bite into it. I'm sad I only made 30 because I could really eat a lot of these. I'm gonna cross off my steps. I did the cores, I coated in tempered milk chocolate. It's always fun when there's a recreates where it's like I can kind of continually move forward and I don't have to back up and like redo something or spin my wheels. That makes it really satisfying. I wouldn't make them again because they're a lot of work and it's annoying, but in theory I would make them again because it worked really well. It was fun. Way better when you coat them in real chocolate and make them yourself. This is one for the books, another recreates. I promise we're gonna get back to Kinder Bueno. Not what I'm dreading, frankly. So thank you so much for watching. We'll bring you more episodes of Claire Recreates and other regular episodes of Dessert Person. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Look at the camera.
Do I have to?
Kind of. Look near the camera. You're having fun.
A little higher up. More like down, a slight bit down, and then the one on your right a little closer in. Yeah.
Are they covering where my eyes are?
Yep.
Now they are.
Fun.
And now make your eyebrows go up and down.